here somewhere. Dave Vrudny, the work will be completed. The work will be completed. Dave Vrudny.
Mr. Contest Chair, fellow members, honored guests. At the end of his life, the great George Bernard Shaw was asked if he had the power to be born again, to be anyone in the world throughout history, who would he like to come back as? And without blinking, he said, "I'd like to be born as the man I never was." I'd like to be the man I never was. That really resonated with me because I don't want to go to my grave with my dreams still in me. The fact you're involved in Toastmasters tells me you're someone very special. You're someone who is reaching for even more in life. You're part of a very elite group. You want to be even more successful. What do you think is the #1 predictor of a person's success in life? What do you think? Shout it out.
Success in school.
Very good answers. According to Dr. Edward Banfield of Harvard, who conducted one of the most profound studies ever in this area, the major predictor of success was not what many people think. It's not education, it's not intelligence, it's not even from having a positive attitude. In the next few minutes, you're going to find out what the study did show, and how you can use this quality to optimize your own success. But first, you're going to hear a story of how this yet unnamed quality changed my life. Imagine you're back in elementary school, and you have a speech problem. You have a lisp like Daffy Duck. What do you think the odds are you're going to be teased? Some of you know I used to slur my S sound. Some words sounded really bad, like number 6, I pronounced thick. Mrs. Foley, my school speech pathologist, worked assiduously. She'd say over and over, "Watch my lips." And I'd respond. Eventually, I gave up. I was much more concerned with playing my Atari video games. Sometime later, I remember in elementary school during homeroom class, the announcements came on the PA system. It went something like, "Congratulations, David Vrudny, Mrs. Foley's class graduate." But no congratulations were in order. I still had the list. And now I got the attention of the whole school. I remember after class, walking down the hall, and kids I thought were my friends were laughing at me. I remember lying in bed, praying, asking for help. But I kept my focus on video games. If you ever played Space Invaders, you know that is pretty addicting. Some years later, I started working at Axiom Corporation as a database manager. How many of you remember your first job right out of school? I wanted to do such a good job, but the job required a lot of talking, and I started to realize I'm self-conscious. I'll never forget one day being asked to introduce myself to a client over speakerphone. And I was asked for my phone extension, and I was so embarrassed when I replied, 3696. Sometime later, I thought about what my life was going to be like in maybe the next 5, 10, 15 years. I'd be stuck in jobs away from working with people. But I love helping others, and I realized to be successful in the long term requires some short-term action. I started seeing a speech pathologist, and with some effort, I corrected the lisp. I felt on top of the world. I had the courage to take on a sales job at Axiom. I also started to teach elementary school for junior achievement. I was no longer afraid of talking. So what was the one quality Dr. Banfield's study showed as the major predictor of success? Long-time perspective. He found the most successful people in our society made decisions in the short term based on how it would affect the many years in the future. For example, think about one of the most respected profession you see all over this hospital, a doctor. A doctor spends so many years in schooling and training. A doctor might be well into his or her 30s before earning a decent living. But a doctor is one of our most respected professions because of long-time perspective. On the other hand, I could be playing Space Invaders all day long, be the best player in the world. It would make no difference in the long term. But the short-term sacrifice I made to see that speech pathologist had real long-term consequences. If I didn't do that, I never would have become a salesperson at Axiom. Never would have helped bring in over $15 million of business. Never would have taught for junior achievement. Never would have received these thank you letters from my students, such as, "Dear Mr. Vrudny, thank you for coming to our class. You would make a fine teacher. 3 cheers for Mr. Vrudny." I'd like you to please close your eyes and imagine I'm waving a magic wand and it's 5 years later. It's 2015. What does your life look like? What major goal have you accomplished? Please open your eyes. You're going to be receiving a special card from me today. I'd like you to keep it and writing what major goal you want to achieve in 5 years and what steps you can take every week, the most important thing, to achieve it. In conclusion, you have greatness in you. You have the power to live your dreams. I've learned a key to success is thinking where you want to be in 5 years and taking the steps every day, every week to achieve it. But don't delay. Time is of the essence. As Goethe said, are you in earnest? Seize this very minute. Boldness has power and magic in it. Only engage, and the mind grows heated. Begin it, and the work will be completed. Mr. Contest Chair.